People hear the word hypnosis and they picture losing control. But when it comes to phobias, hypnosis actually gives you control back. In fact, it's one of the safest, most effective ways to ease fear without having to expose yourself to that thing that's been scaring you. In this video, I'll explain how phobias come about, how hypnosis helps to safely remove phobias, and warn you about a few minor risks with hypnosis that you can easily avoid if you know what to look for. I'll tell you a quick story. For many years, starting when I was about 6 years old, I couldn't even look at a shower head because it terrified me. I would still take showers, but I would kind of have to back my way into the shower. And I was never one to lounge in the shower, singing, enjoying the hot water. I did it as fast as I could. I got out and I closed the curtain. Completely irrational, right? I know, but that's how phobias are. You might logically know that something isn't dangerous, but your body doesn't care. It reacts like you're in real danger. Don't you love it when people try to cure your phobia with logic? Like for fear of flying, say. Well, you know, statistically, you're more likely to get in an accident on the way to the airport than actually flying. Okay, thanks. Now I'm afraid of driving too. And I'm still not going to fly. I'm not the only one to have some weird phobia. Some people are afraid of flowers. Some people are terrified of buttons. And other people have the normal phobias like fear of flying, fear of heights. I had that one too, by the way. Fear of needles. Phobias come in every shape and size. And most of the time, you never know that someone has a phobia because they hide it so well. I never told anybody about that shower thing. Nobody knew. But underneath, the panic feels very real. And it can radically affect the things you get to do in your life. I mean, luckily for me, you don't have to look at the shower head to take a shower. But other fears are much more limiting. Before we see how to get rid of phobias, you need to know how phobias come about. Humans are born with only two fears, they say. Fear of falling and fear of loud noises. Everything else, every other fear, is learned. If a child sees one of their parents, the most important people in their world, afraid of something, that is a powerful cue that that thing is dangerous. Fear of spiders and snakes can even get passed on in that way. But most phobias are not learned like that. They're learned in a single powerful moment of emotion. Maybe a dog barked and startled you when you were young, or you saw someone else panic on a plane, or maybe someone on television said something very creepy about a black stone found in the center of a dead person's heart that looked a lot like that middle part of a shower head, just for instance. In that instant of high emotion, your unconscious linked that situation with danger. And from then on, your body reacted automatically. Even when your logical mind knew it was safe. And that fear can build on itself over time from that initial point. Each time your body reacts to the stimulus, your heart starts racing, you start panting, you're giving yourself more proof that that thing really is dangerous. And you can start to get scared of the fear reaction itself. A lot of people with a fear of traveling are actually afraid that they're going to have a panic attack while traveling and have nowhere to go. When I finally started learning hypnosis, that showerhead fear taught me something important. Even if a fear is deep and you've had it for a long time, you can lose it in a matter of minutes once your unconscious makes a certain minor shift. That is not how phobia is normally treated, though. You can go to a psychologist once a week for several years and talk about your fears and where they came from and whatever else. It may feel good while you're in the session, but the phobia seems to hang on for a long time. It's effective for some people, but I hope you have insurance. Cognitive behavioral therapy is much faster, maybe 8 to 20 sessions. You have to use logic on yourself until you can kind of unthink the phobia. Then there's exposure therapy, which could take from 8 to 22 sessions. You literally have to confront the thing you fear most in the world over and over. This will work if you can keep making yourself go to the sessions. A lot of people give up before their phobia does. Hypnotherapy, on average, helps over 90% of people in just a handful of sessions, often in only one. You stay calm and relaxed the whole time while your brain learns that safety is the new normal. Hypnosis goes by going straight to that unconscious level where the fear was learned. It doesn't erase the memory. It changes the emotional response attached to it. Instead of the old panic signal, your brain learns to associate calm and safety with that same situation. There are two main ways hypnotists do this. One is called regression to cause, gently revisiting the original experience and seeing it from a different point of view. So you can see it from a calm adult perspective. You don't have to relive the trauma, you just observe it differently, and the emotional charge fades away. The other technique is imagined exposure, imagining facing your fear in a completely relaxed state, like peeking at it from behind a curtain or looking at it from a balcony, because your unconscious can't tell the difference between a real or vividly imagined event. It learns that the trigger is no longer dangerous. Both methods are safe and both work remarkably well. You remain in control the entire time. It's like teaching your brain a new pattern, one where calm replaces panic and confidence replaces avoidance. But there are some risks to hypnosis. Some dangers are overblown hype, and some are actually real. So let's get into them. Picture this. You go into a strange man's office. He waves a watch in front of your face and suddenly takes control of your mind and sends you out to rob the liquor store for him. That's probably the biggest fear most people have. And that does sound pretty terrifying, I'll admit. It makes for good movie plots. The thing is, hypnosis just isn't like that. Hypnosis gives you more control over your own mind. You're more focused, more aware, and far more connected to what's happening inside your mind. A lot of people feel like they didn't even get hypnotized because they could still hear what the hypnotist was saying, hear the cars going by outside, but they strangely didn't have the fear anymore after the session was over. It's as if they decided on their own not to have it, which is exactly what happened. When you have a phobia, you've actually hypnotized yourself into thinking something is dangerous when it's not. In a sense, hypnotherapy is unhypnotizing you. During hypnosis, your body relaxes and your attention narrows, almost like the calm, immersive focus when you're reading a good book or you're into a really good movie. You're fully conscious and aware the entire time. You can speak, you can move, you can stop at any moment. It's not sleep, and it's definitely not mind control. Every suggestion a hypnotist offers has to pass through your own mental filter. If something doesn't fit with your values or feels wrong, or you just don't believe it, you simply reject it. No one can make you do or say anything you don't want to. You might think, well, what about those hypnosis stage shows where they get people to cluck like chickens and bark like dogs? Well, let me tell you how they do that. They're not making those people do those things. They're getting those people to want to do those things. It's a subtle difference. The hypnotist carefully chooses from a crowd of people, 5 or 6 or 10 participants who are the most imaginative, responsive, and eager to have fun. They do tests with the audience to pick out those people. They get those people up on stage and they do more tests that kind of look like games. Anybody who doesn't react right away or seems like they're faking, they send back to their seats. Those people left on stage get caught up in the energy of the crowd and the social pressure of the moment and really embrace their imagination and do things they wouldn't normally do. Hypnosis is powerful, but only when your goals align with what the hypnotist is suggesting, which is true in those shows. And when you watch street hypnotists on YouTube, you don't see all the times it didn't work because people just didn't want to do what the hypnotist said. Did you ever see the movie Office Space? I should make a video about hypnosis in movies. In that movie, the main character, Peter, is getting hypnotized and the hypnotist has a heart attack and dies during the session, leaving Peter stuck in hypnosis, completely confident. Hilarity ensues. It's pretty funny. But you can't get stuck in hypnosis any more than you could get stuck in meditation. If the hypnotist left the building, you would at some point realize that they had stopped talking. You might open your eye and see if they're still there. And then you would get up and leave. There's a classic story told by Dave Ellman, who's a famous hypnotist. He was training dentists how to work with patients to not have pain while they're doing dental operations. One of the students hypnotized another student, and that student got so relaxed, he fell in a deep, deep state of relaxation. And when the student hypnotist told him to wake up, he didn't. So they started yelling at him. Still no reaction. They were pinching him, pushing him. Nothing worked. Then the other dentist started yelling, "Fire, fire!" Still no reaction. So then they started to get scared. Dave Ellman went over and whispered something in his ear, and he immediately opened his eyes and got up. "What did you say to him?" they were asking. I said, if he didn't get up right now, I was going to hypnotize him so he could never feel this way again. He had heard everything they were saying, felt them pushing him. He just didn't want to leave this wonderful state he was in. Didn't you hear us yelling fire? They said. Yeah, I heard you. I knew it wasn't real. Elman got him to wake up because the other students were scared. But the truth is, and Elman said this, if they had just left, the guy would have eventually either fallen asleep, woken up later feeling wonderful, or he would have gotten bored and eventually got up on his own. So what about telling secrets during hypnosis? It's the same thing. You totally know what's going on, so you're not going to tell a secret you didn't want to tell. Now, I have had people tell me secrets they had never told anyone before, but it wasn't because I made them in any way. It's because they suddenly said, you know what, I'm done with keeping this a secret. I'm free of this now. And it wasn't their PIN or their social security number, by the way. Hypnosis isn't some fringe technique. It's been recognized by major medical and psychological associations for decades as a legitimate tool for everything from anxiety to pain management. Hospitals even use it to help people stay calm during surgery. The same principles that make it safe in those settings apply directly to overcoming fears and phobias. Now, I said before that there is some risk involved with hypnosis, and there is. But those risks are pretty rare, and they're easily avoided if you know what to look for. Picture this. You're super relaxed and imagining going back to some time, maybe when a phobia started. You're in a dark house, and the hypnotist asks, is your father there? Then you see your father, maybe as he looked back then. Does he have a strange expression on his face? I guess. Is he behaving strangely toward you? Touching you in a weird way? So I don't want to freak you out, but that is totally unethical to do that. Your imagination can fill in the blanks so vividly that it feels like a real memory. That's not because hypnosis is dangerous. It's because memory itself is flexible. Every time you recall something, your brain rewrites it. Did you ever hear a story about yourself so often that you started to remember actually having lived it? False memory is a real danger of hypnosis. Some police forces used hypnosis to solve cases, but that practice has pretty much been abandoned now because the hypnotists were leading people into false memories, trying to get convictions. A good hypnotist should never ask leading questions like that. If I were looking for when a phobia started, I would say, where are you now? Are you alone or with someone else? What's happening? Is there something you would like to say or do that you didn't do at the time? Remember, you're not really there. This is just your imagination. If you were in a hypnosis session and the hypnotist started asking you leading questions, I would just open my eyes and say, no, this is not working for me. I'm going to go now. The second issue is rare, but could happen with any unethical professional. A doctor could prescribe you the wrong medicine. A dentist could drill into a healthy tooth if they're evil or incompetent. In the same way, an evil or incompetent hypnotist could give you negative or hurtful suggestions. You're no good. You'll never get over this fear. A mean friend could do the same thing, but somehow coming from a hypnotist, it would be much worse. A professional would never do something like that. You have to assume that most doctors and dentists and hypnotists are there for you. They're not crazy villains. So here's how you can protect yourself. Get recommendations from people you trust, and just as important, talk to the hypnotherapist about your situation before putting any money down or agreeing to do sessions. Ask how they see your problem, and just notice how you feel around them. If you don't feel comfortable and respected, don't go forward. My wife had a doctor who would never listen to anything she said, so she dropped him and went to another one. Trust and safety are not optional. They're part of the treatment itself. And that unconscious I've been talking about is very good on picking up on those unconscious cues that you may not be aware of. This is definitely a time to listen to that gut feeling. And that's even more important than official credentials, by the way. Some therapists collect credentials going from one training to the next without getting much actual experience with clients. I used to do that. Other people with more meager credentials may have years of experience or just that special spark that lets you know that they're there for you and they really care about your result. You just have to trust your gut. I go to hypnotists too, like doctors have to go to a doctor. I have a friend who's a doctor and he talked about going to the doctor one time. I was like, what? Can't you just fix yourself? Not always. When I go to a hypnotist, I choose someone who seems to really care about me and what I'm trying to accomplish. So hypnosis can help you with a fear or phobia. But look out for that old resistance. It's almost as if the part of you that created that fear is afraid that you'll get rid of it. And it will come up with reasons for you not to move forward. But you can start using hypnotic techniques on yourself to move through that resistance, to be bolder, calmer, and finally do the things you've been putting off. And I've got you covered there. Click right here and watch this video, How to Change and Become a Better Person. I'll walk you through it step by step, how to use hypnotic techniques to change anything about yourself safely and permanently. The weird music on the video only lasts a few seconds, so try to get past that and get to the good stuff. I don't know what I was thinking there. See you there in a second.